Hi everyone, thank you so much for joining the Ready to Ride Pilates for Horse Riders channel, where today we are going to be doing a whole body workout, hopefully covering pretty much all your bases. As much as possible with these exercises I will demonstrate the different levels of difficulty, so no matter who you are, you should find that you can find something appropriate to do in this session. So to start off with, I just want you to really focus on what you feel through your body, equal weight through your feet, headlights to the front, and your shoulders back and down and open. Try to think about lengthening your spine right from the base up in an elastic way up through your head, and make sure you're breathing into the base of your lungs. And then we're going to start by turning your head from side to side, keeping your eyes level as you turn, watching that you don't dip down as you go. If you're one that collapses through a shoulder when you're riding, start with your head. Make sure you don't habitually turn downwards. Okay, and then we're going to loosen up through your back a little bit. So hands together, take your hands forwards and away, push your hands, stretch around your shoulders, and then reach up. Bring them back down again and again. Push forwards and away, stretch through your shoulders. You should round through your back a little bit too, and then up. And then we're going to do one more just the same. So we're going to push forwards and away, nice big stretch, open out, and then push upwards, another nice big stretch. And then bring your arms back down. We're going to do a roll down. So if you go to the end of your mat, have your feet together, knees nice and soft, hands on the front of your thighs, chin onto your chest, and slide your hands down, trying to feel that you move every single vertebrae in turn. At the bottom, nice big breath in, breathe out, bend your knees, and we're going to start off on your front. And we're going to be doing an exercise called the breaststroke. If you are new to Pilates, then we're going to be doing this with your arms down by your side. If you are experienced at Pilates, we're going to do it with your arms underneath your head. So choose the position that works best for you. I'd like you guys to be looking face down onto your mat. Draw your shoulder blades back and down, tummy away from the puddle of water and pelvic floor onto floor 3. And then you are going to float your arms, head and neck just off the floor and rest everything back down together. Check shoulder blades, tummy and pelvic floor lift, and slowly back down together. So if you've got your arms by your side, you should look like so. So you're lifting everything at the same time. Always, whichever position you are in, keeping your tummy away from the puddle of water. That is your way of stabilising your low back as you do this exercise. If you find that you're sinking downwards, that's fine, you're still working, but it's much, much easier and you're not actually stabilising your low back anything like as effectively. We'll do a couple more of this one. Okay, and then we're going to prop up onto your forearms. We're going to do an exercise called the leg pull. We're going to start off in this position, pelvic floor onto floor 3, and then you're going to lift your pelvis and slowly back down. Nice and simple. So pelvic floor onto floor 3 and slowly back down. You can stay doing this exercise this way if you want to. Otherwise, if you want to make it a little bit harder, tuck your toes underneath your feet, and this time as you go up, you can carry on lifting. And you can do it in 2 sections, so you can go up with the pelvis, up with the knees, down with the knees, down with the pelvis, or you can go up and down all in one go. You are ending up basically in the plank position. What you want to be focusing on here is controlled movement through the whole of the exercise. We're not looking for jerking, we want nice smooth, controlled movement, keeping your pelvic floor onto floor 3, and most importantly of all, keeping breathing. There's no point in doing all this lovely strengthening work if you find you're holding your breath, because that's just not going to help you when you're on your horse. We're going to do a couple more of this one. Keep that breathing. Okay, then we're going to go onto your side, and we're going to start off with your clam exercise. So we will start off in your level 1 position, so feet onto the floor. Try to check that your feet are lined up with your bottom, your mouse hole is open, and your pelvic floor is onto floor 3. Top hand onto your top headlight, because that is going to give you your feedback about where your headlights are. So we can start off just opening and closing the top knee, watching that top headlight is to the front. Pelvic floor is staying onto floor 3. Mouse hole is staying open. If that is nice and easy, feet off the floor. And carry on looking for that nice control, all that movement coming from your hips. That way you know you're really working your glutes. Mouse holes open, pelvic floor onto floor 3, and we will add in extension. So you can do this whichever position you are lying in. You don't have to have your feet off the floor. This just makes your glutes work that a little bit harder. But now you're a little bit less stable, so you have to work harder at keeping that mouse hole open. Don't forget about your pelvic floor. Still focusing on where that top headlight is. Is your movement all coming from your hip? That's what you want. It's hip control that you need when you're on a horse too. We're going to do one more of this one. Lovely. Okay, feet down if they were up, and we're going to get onto your back. And we're going to do an exercise called the scissors. So to start off with, check your feet and knees are hip width apart. Make sure you've got a nice neutral pelvis position. If you have a spiky ball and you want to pop it on your tummy, now is the time to do so. Otherwise, hands onto your headlights, so you've got a little bit of feedback about where your pelvis is. Pelvic floor onto floor 3, and then you're going to bring one leg up to tabletop and back down. Then bring the other leg up to tabletop and back down. Always moving from the hip and keeping your knee at 90 degrees. Now if this is quite easy, you can come up into the tabletop position. Double check your nice neutral tummy position, pelvic floor at the ready, and then you just reverse the movement. So instead of bringing one knee up, we're taking one foot down, still keeping the movement from the hip and keeping each knee at 90 degrees. The scissors is an exercise that I call a wine glass exercise, because you want to imagine that the leg that isn't moving stays still enough that at the end of the exercise you'd still have a full glass of wine. I have not tested this yet. The mess, the thought of the mess. Okay, we can do one more. Okay, feet down one time if they were up, and we're going to move on to an exercise called the hip twist. And we're going to add in a little twist for this one as well, no pun intended. Okay, again, feet and knees hip width apart, neutral pelvis, pelvic floor onto floor 3. Your level 1 version, you're rolling each knee out in turn. Again, this is a wine glass exercise, so the leg that isn't moving, keep that knee beautifully still. Use the feedback from your hands to make sure that your pelvis isn't rocking and that movement is coming from your hip. If you find this quite easy, you can take it up a notch by taking one leg up to tabletop to do the movement. But from tabletop, it's the whole leg that goes, not just the knee. If that is easy, the next level is to do the whole exercise from tabletop. Once again, making sure it's the whole leg that is on the go. It's still a wine glass exercise, and you still want those headlights to be absolutely still. But we're going to add in a twist, so whichever position you are in, bring your arms up, and as you take your leg out, take the opposite arm to the other side. So you're doing opposite arm and leg, and now you've got to be really conscious of what your headlights are up to, because you haven't got that feedback unless you're using a spiky ball. Keep breathing, keep thinking about your pelvic floor. You may well find that you need to concentrate on those ropes running from ribs to pelvis as well. Watch where your hands come back to. You want them always to, if at all possible, come back to that starting point above your shoulders. One more with each leg. Okay, arms down, feet down one at a time, and then we're going to turn onto your other side and repeat your clam on the other side. Okay, so we will start off getting your position sorted, so mouse holes open, pelvic floor onto floor 3, top hand onto your top headlights, and we're opening and closing the top leg, keeping that top headlight absolutely still. If that's easy, then feet off the floor. We just increase the range, but also by taking your feet off you destabilise yourself a little bit, so just makes it all a little bit harder, but still with the mouse hole, pelvic floor and that top headlight nice and still. Then whichever position you're in, we are now going to add in your extensions. So we are now increasing the effort for those glutes, increasing the effort for your brain as well, because we've got another little addition to think about. So you've got mouse holes, pelvic floor, headlights, and also thinking about what that leg is doing. And do a couple more of this one. Last one. I'm not good at counting, I'm afraid. Lovely. Okay, we are now going to come up into sitting. So we're going to do an exercise called the Oblique Roller, and I think this is a really, really good one for horse riders. I have to say I find this one quite difficult to do, so we're going to break it down into 2 different stages. If you need to sit on something to do this, that's absolutely fine. Not everyone is comfortable in this position. feet and knees gently together and hands lightly resting on the front of your legs. What I don't want you to do is be gripping really hard. You need to be soft and relaxed, just like when you're riding. Then focus on your headlights and see if you can roll backwards, leading from your headlights. What you don't want to do is turn this into a glorified sit-up, which is very easy to do. So keep it really small and really controlled. Think about when you're in the saddle and the movement that you're doing with the horse through your low back and pelvis is really this part of your body. So you need to be able to isolate this movement to effectively move with your horse. Okay, check that your knees and feet are together but relaxed, and your hands are relaxed, because we're going to make it a little bit harder. Hands up, and this time as you roll back, you're bringing one arm out. Look at your hand, come back, the same thing the other way. So try really hard to keep this movement focused on your low back and pelvis. Think your headlights are doing that movement for you, not your whole back turning into that glorified sit-up, which is really easy to do. Keep it small, keep it specific. And you may find it harder to go one way. That's absolutely fine. One more with each arm, or rather, that's very normal. Okay, super job. Let's bring you up into standing. And we're going to finish off with a little bit of work on your arms. Okay, so we're thinking about your contact, the strength for your contact, the stability for your contact comes from your shoulders. So let's have your hands up in front, approximately in a rein hold position. Shoulders back and down, relaxed, but open through the front of your chest. Keep your elbows tucked into your sides. And then you're going to be turning your arms out. In Pilates, we call this the dumb waiter. Quite a nice name to remember. But just concentrate on keeping shoulder blades back and down, but at the same time being lengthened through your spine with that nice elastic feeling. Concentrate on some relaxed breathing as well. What you don't want to do is find you're so focused on what your arms are doing that you forget about your breathing. Then we're going to add in some arm lifts, so we call this the Cleopatra. Still with your shoulder blades staying back and down. If you want to make this a little bit harder, and you've got a resistance band hand, then by all means do so. I'm just aware that not everybody has access to resistance bands. Keep thinking shoulder blades back and down. And equally, sometimes I think it's really good just to go through some of the basics. Make sure you can do the basics really well, and that in trying to push yourself, you haven't started to compensate and cheat. We all do that. It's what our bodies do in order to survive. Do a couple more. Check shoulder blades back and down. Think about your ropes and your breathing. Lovely. Okay, then let your arms just rest down by your side. And we're going to finish off loosening through your shoulders. Nice big circles. This is one of my favourite exercises for loosening off. It's really hard to make yourself relax if you've got tense. But by doing a nice movement like this, if you've got tense around your shoulders, it's a really nice way of loosening everything off. Okay, so we are going to finish there. It was a short and sweet session, but hopefully it's targeted all of your body, so if that's what you needed today, then it should have done the job for you. You can, of course, add on one of the other sessions that are a bit more body part specific if you want to. Otherwise, just maybe finish off with the cool down session, just make sure you're nicely stretched out before you leave. And otherwise, thank you so much for joining, and take care, and I will see you at the next session. Bye-bye.